What was your why?
We want to take it to be a global brand because we never set out to be creatives.
You're very consistent from photographer to photographer. Everyone knows the mode way.
Open up the champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it up.
Welcome to Behind the Brand with our very first guest, Mr. Torren Farrelly, founder of Mode Photo, and myself, Neil Leahy of Butler and Stagg. Torren, great to have you here today. First and foremost, thanks for coming in. Please tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and then we'll move into Mode.
Yeah, honoured to be the first guest, number one.
Massive.
We'll have to redo it again at number 100. But yeah, myself. Well, look, like you said, Mode Photo. I set up the company a couple of years ago now. It's grown from strength to strength in the industry. Since then, we're now a team of 12, and yeah, I mean, we provide all of the property marketing stuff that estate agents, developers, anyone in this industry needs as such.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's quite a modest response, really, in terms of, you know, we started working with you back in January 2023 was the first job that I remember working with you on, and I think we both kind of, having met in the lead up to that, set out to really raise the bar and lift the levels and standards of what we'd become used to over the last 5 to 10 years, which is when professional photographers were introduced into the industry. Well, it was before that, really. I remember doing that as far back as kind of 2005, but it then kind of caught on and every agent was doing it as standard. So, being the innovators that Butler and Stagg like to be, it's kind of, how can we raise the bar? How can we move things forward? And as soon as I met you, we shared the same views and visions, and I feel as though certainly you've done that. But yeah, I mean, what a crazy couple of years for you guys, really.
Of course. I mean, I guess you could say Butler and Stagg was quite a platform for me to do that because of your ideas and visions and where you wanted to go. I wanted to bring an Australian style flair to the market, but I did quickly learn that the market doesn't quite want that or need it. We operate in a different way to different countries. So we've tried to bring that in a more compact form. In Australia, in America, they go to town with the productions that they put together, but we work more on speed. You've got other agents sniffing around your instructions. You put something on, they're knocking it the next day because the way the market works. So it's trying to bring that innovation, something a bit different, something a bit eye-catching, but also with the speed and the cost, because obviously the fees that we charge here is completely different to the fees in...
Well, that's an interesting touch point. Yes, I mean, you've rightly said, just in terms of Southern Hemisphere, in terms of Australia, South Africa, and also what's happening over in the States.
Yeah.
And their average fee points are 6-7% for every instruction. You've obviously got brokers acting on behalf of purchasers, agents acting on behalf, and brokers acting on behalf of sellers, and those fees allow them to do less business and really kind of concentrate in terms of attention to detail on their media and what they're putting out there. Whereas over here, I'm loath to say it, but out of London, probably the average is 1%, and in some cases, agents are willing to go lower than that. From our perspective, we like to do things properly. We like to have attention to detail and sharpen up every single property that we bring to market. So we can't necessarily manoeuvre down to the average fees and rates, but as part of offering that premium service, we need our visual production to look at its very best. And you guys have certainly been able to adhere that. But also, as you say, trying to do that and turn your visual production around for each instruction so quickly is another challenge. Because as you say, in other countries they're probably spending 2 weeks putting this stuff together, but by then, as we say over here, you snooze you lose, and someone else has nipped in and stole the business.
Time for planning. I mean, the way you guys use us is quite different to how we work with over 100 different agencies, but there's a lot of agencies that have this mindset, they want it all in-house, and they want to, whereas you go, do you know what, instead of having one person in-house, we now have access to a team. You're spread from Bow up to, I mean, we were in Rickmansworth the other day, so...
Now out to Chelmsford.
Out to Chelmsford, we're knocking on Colchester's door, and it's... Instead of having one person that has that one limit of skills, it's like, have a team that, you might pay a different extra, but you've got that whole group of knowledge and ideas, experience that will all bring something different to the table.
Yeah.
And I will try and bring that into one, because some of the guys, I mean, it seems like a lot of ideas come from me, but a lot of the guys will go, oh, let's do this, let's do that, and then it will just spin a different conversation. So having a team of 12 as opposed to having a team of 1 or 2, you're always going to win with 12.
Yeah,
that's where
2 heads are better than 1, 3 heads are better than 2, and so on. And I think that's, you know, probably been one of your biggest challenges, but also one of your biggest attributes is that you're very consistent from photographer to photographer. Everyone knows the mode way. Everyone can produce the same level of quality and detail. And again, you know, that's testimony to you and the good work that you've done in 2 years. You've captivated the market, particularly in the southeast of England, you know, from kind of East London right the way out to, you know, places like Southend, Colchester, up to, you know, as far as the Suffolk borders. You know, you guys are really the talk of the town. So, you know, we're quite privileged to have been probably number one in that journey, and you know, we've enjoyed seeing your growth as well as our own improvements across the board, which is fantastic. So I mean, look, just that's some of the serious stuff, really. So just talking about some of the juicier stuff. So some of the challenges that you must face along the way, and we've seen it particularly with some of our London rental portfolio, shall we say, which is a little bit interesting in terms of the way some tenants occupy properties, and we're having to go around and reshoot and trying to polish some of these properties. Do you want to give us a bit of an insight into some of the horror stories that you encounter?
We had one in Bow for you. It was one of your properties, and it was the 3 boys in there.
Right, okay.
The house was a mess.
Yeah.
And I actually done it myself.
Basically.
Yeah, and I said, oh, would you mind just getting out of the room while I take the photo? And he said, oh, you know what, I have no interest in helping this landlord, this twatty landlord, he said, sell this property, mate, so I'm not going to move.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we just take it with them, and we just Photoshop them all out. You know, I think we cleared it. They had bikes in the living room. They had, I mean, it's free students.
Yeah.
You can imagine what it looked like.
Exactly
it was
that.
Just it was just a mess. But we get one every day now. Yeah. It's just rooms full up of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we'll get complaints sometimes on the back of it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it would have only taken a minute to move the whole room of suitcases. Look, it's general public, isn't it? It's like, I mean
exactly that. And again, it's another balance from our perspective, because, you know, clients generally will have very high expectation levels in terms of how they want their properties to look and how they want to present. But when they're afar or when the property's let, you know, there's only so much we can do to kind of, you know, showcase that property in its best possible light. So, you know, the addition of photoshopping and the skill set that you guys provide on that has been unbelievable. I know we've had a few situations with van owners going out and leaving their vans on the driveways and forgetting their keys, or they're away on holiday and, look, Tom, what are we going to do about this? Well, don't worry, we'll just get rid of it. We'll make it disappear. Yeah. So, look, it's again been an unbelievable kind of feature of our marketing and your service as to what can be. Look, we've discussed in terms of the relationship as well between Butler and Stagg and Mode, and I know when we get on some of these video shoots and photography shoots, we really do kind of put our heads together and the magic happens, and it's something that we're constantly battling against. How can we be different? How can our content stand out from everyone else's, and what's going to kind of, you know, entice people to Butler and Stagg and for potential landlords and vendors to want to use us. So, I mean, one of the latest ones was Bryce's Park.
Yeah, we spent a good day there.
Yeah, which is a 36 unit residential scheme set in 72 acres of grounds, beautiful wild deer, etc. And we was just trying to come up with some interesting pieces of how this could look, you know, really different. And I know,
you don't want to take it too far sometimes. I know some of the ideas we come up with, you know, parachuting into the grounds and whatnot, but
helicopters,
it's
boats.
like how far can we stretch it without sort of forcing it, if that makes sense. It's like keeping it professional, but also quite fun, interactive, and attractive for people to go, I want to know more.
Yeah.
That's our job. I see our job as, we can't sell the property. The video's never going to sell the property, but can it attract people to want to know more information?
Yeah.
Just inquire about the price, because then you've got their details, and then, you know, you can always knock on their door and say, you still interested, or whatnot. So
yeah.
That's our sort of main ambition always with every shoot.
Yeah, I think look, as you say, the wacky ideas that we come up with is it's setting the parameters between what's professional and trying to protect our brand identity and integrity, and what is really going to be clickbait and what's going to get everyone talking about town. So we're always trying to tread that fine line of being sensible and serious, but also trying to have a laugh and a joke along the way as well.
It's just how you operate as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you give a lot of the praise to us, but a lot of it is driven from you and the team, and it's now, because it's come from you, obviously a lot of the team want to do wacky ideas and have a bit of a brainstorm about how they want to produce it. So it takes two to tango. So it's
it's an interesting one. So look, it's one that's close to my heart because my daughter is very much into performing arts, and she goes to a theatre school in the West End, and she's her confidence sometimes amazes me. She gets on stage in front of hundreds of people with cameras on her and whatnot, and she just goes on cue, and that's it. For our industry, I know, talking about myself, my own kind of journey started back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and the thought of getting in front of a camera, was kind of horrifying, really.
You can't get away from it.
Exactly, and it's something, it's something that you have to certainly grow into and get used to. And even the best and the most successful kind of innovators and influencers within our industry will say when they go back and look at their first handful of videos, they're kind of cringing at looking at them. But it's the way the industry's going. It's the way that brands are getting noticed and being personified. And I say it to our staff all the time: your digital footprint and your own personal brand is as big as the company's now. If you ever, God forbid, decided that you'd outgrown Butler and Stagg, or you wanted to go off and try something new, ultimately, by how many followers you've got on Instagram and TikTok and all these other platforms, that's how you're going to get rated and employed and potentially financially rewarded. So, spend time curating your own personal brand, spend time growing your own social media, and, the rest will kind of look after itself in the future.
I guess it used to be how many contacts have you got in your phone book?
Exactly.
And now it's how many followers have you got on Instagram?
Exactly. Well, how many applicants you had in your applicant box when I started? Just about going onto computers.
Yeah. I mean, soon that will change again. You know, before it was phone book, now it's Instagram. In 5-10 years, it will be something else. So it's keeping up with the Kardashians in a way.
Or the Joneses and whatever else. And that's the biggest thing. We sit around and as a marketing team and we notice, and look, this is kudos to us, and we take it as a massive compliment. Whatever we're doing clearly is getting noticed, and quickly the agents around us, our peers, our competitors, whatever you want to call them, will start replicating us and doing the same thing. So, right, okay, how do we move things on to to the next thing?
What you do differently to a lot of agencies is your team and your staff and all of they just focus on their job. They don't go out taking photos of properties. They don't go out doing things that isn't gonna make the business money. They're revenue generating, so their job is to win listings, sell listings, and it's as simple as them two things. A lot of agencies I see, you've got agents who are running the social media account, you've got agents who are taking the photos, agents doing editing the videos, and you just think all of that accumulated time over the month, you might spend 40 hours in a month. In a whole week, could you get one more instruction and sell one more house in 7 days, which would pay for someone to do that job 10 times better than you? But it's a poor mindset. You have a poor mindset and a rich mindset.
Yeah, you do, and it's a speculate to accumulate situation, isn't it? And some people get scared of headcounts and extra salaries within the business. But as you say, you've got to understand your own worth, what you're what you're good at, what's your skill set, where are you going to thrive in an environment. And I think to do that, you need to understand your strengths and you need to understand your weaknesses. I think you understand your strengths and weaknesses, and you understand where your time is best spent in your business. And it's very much I take the same view. There's certain things that we've got staff that do it a lot better than me. So why would I even attempt to do it? Let them do it. That's where they excel. And I'll stick to what I know, which is, trying to oversee things, influence certain areas where I can, and network, which is what I'm pretty good at. I'll carry the brand wherever, talk to anyone, and see if we can help or we can assist and we can grow things. And talking of networking, I know you've been doing quite a lot of that over the last couple of years. So, from charity balls to golf events to paddle events and everything in between.
Involved. Yeah, you've got networking events and you've got networking events. There's different ways. There's a million different ways of networking. Playing paddle at the gym, going to a B&I, whatever they are. Networking and breakfast, where you have to stand up and introduce yourself. Yeah. There's a great networking thing I've been involved in. It's quite good to talk about in the last sort of 18 months. It's something called the dinner. It's very private, very exclusive. There's sort of boundaries that you have to be setting to be allowed in, if that makes sense. You have to be running a business that turns over a certain amount, and you have to be, super motivated individual. Doesn't really matter on your age, but it's hosted by a guy called Will Polston, and he runs these masterminds courses. But being a part of this dinner, you go once a month. You don't have to go, you can miss a couple or whatever, but you go once a month, and no one's getting their business card out. No one's going. So
it's more relaxed. And
it's a sit down dinner. It's a round table, and every month you'll sit next to someone new.
Yeah, nice.
So you go there for an hour. You have drinks. You meet different people from all different businesses. You've got estate agents there. You've got people that work for NATO. You've got aerospace engineers. But all these people have either faced or are currently facing the same issues that you are. They're faced or they're facing the same good things that you are. So being able to talk to people in a confidential way, you do network, you do get business from it, but no one is there actively selling or promoting. You're not allowed to promote in the group. And that's one of the most powerful networking, because it's everyone there is just on a different level of how they think, how they operate, and it's just
what they've been through, what their journey's been. It's just
pure growth. Everyone just wants to,
and a real collection of different mindsets as well. So not everyone thinks the same way or operates the same way, and it's understanding what you could utilise and what you could bring into your own business and your own personal journey. I mean, look, networking for me has always been a massive part of our industry and growth, and I've always felt as though you could advance things a lot further in a more relaxed environment, be it a golf course, be it a paddle court, be it going out socialising, going to the horse racing or whatever. So much, to the staff's and our team's, view that I'm out hobnobbing and not doing a lot. I'm actually, I'm actually being probably more effective, out on a golf course or out in that environment than I am, armed with a phone and a desk and a computer. Because people will open up, and you'll see a different side to them away from the working environment, where they'll relax and they'll talk more openly. And as you say, it's not. Obviously, you've got to, to be a good networker, you've got to understand, how to operate and how to read a room. You can't just be out there force feeding and your product down people's throats. You've got to get to know people, understand what they need in their own business and how you can effectively benefit them and help them. And thereafter, relationships are crafted and things go from there. And even talking, Mr. Turk himself, your operator out in Chelmsford and Ingatestone was initially brought in by Butler and Stagg as our own internal visual production consultant or head of media, whatever you want to call him. But it was evident that the territory was too big for him to cover, from East London right the way out into the home counties. He couldn't operate at the speed singularly that we needed to be effective, and it was seen as a beneficial transition not only to George but also to Torren and Mode, that he come in and increased his skill set under your jurisdiction. And
he's come on leaps and bounds as well. And when you come back to networking, George will go and Friday afternoon buy a box of donuts, sit in other agents' office, and he'll build his rep with them because he's going out doing jobs, so great for him because they're trusting, they get to know him more, they're putting him in front of their vendors. And it's what we all try and do. We'll all try and, we'll sometimes pop in to see you guys just for an hour or whatever. And it just, because you're not on a job and you're
Yeah.
in the office, you just have different conversations.
Yeah.
You talk about life, football,
Yeah.
anything that have a laugh.
Exactly that, yeah.
It's but all that stuff is networking.
Yeah.
Networking with your clients or not clients it all adds a massive value.
Well, that's what I would say is probably one of your most unique assets and attributes, is that having worked in the industry for as long as I have and dealt with various media companies and the creatives that work within those media companies, they're all quite, kind of insular, a bit reserved, don't necessarily want to go out and network and show their face, don't necessarily take criticism very well. You can upset a creative very quickly. It's quite a dangerous situation to enter into.
Isn't it?
But you guys are personalities as much as you are creatives, I would say, which is kind of a rare combination, and that does make you unique.
Yeah. I guess because we never set out to be creatives. If you look at the creative industry, artists, photographers, musicians, whatever sort of, they've set out to do that most of the time, and we're quite creative in our lives, how we operate. I mean, you'd be creative with how you do things at home, how you spend your money, but the way we've fallen in, I mean, when it comes to criticism, I'm like, all right, what do you want me to do? It's getting your back up is something, it's quite easy to do because you feel like you've done your best job, but ultimately it's a very subjective job what we do. We could do two of the same things, someone hates it, someone loves it. It's almost a bit like Marmite.
Just personal opinion, isn't it?
The complaints we get from vendors, agents, I don't like this, I don't like that.
Yeah.
It will blow your mind. I mean, there's no point me listing out the
Yeah. Look, I can see, we're in a public-driven service ourselves, so I'd always use that analogy that some people you have to just cut loose, right? We've had clients before. We've gone way over and above what is industry standard, what is ever expected in terms of, trying to manage someone's expectations, and they're still not happy. And these are the same individuals that I think, if you're careful how I say this really, people might know what I'm talking about, but this is very similar to or the same people that you could go and put them in the world's best hotel, right? Let's call that the Royal Atlantis in Dubai on the Palm, one of the newest hotels out there, and the service is off the chart, everything's laid on a plate and is as good as you can get, and they'll find a problem. So some people are like that, right? The same people have a row in a phone box on their own, and they just like confrontation, they like the drama, and there's nothing you can do. And I think when you're first starting out in business, that stuff can really affect you, because you want everyone to love you, you want 5-star reviews, you want everyone talking about you, but some people just impossible to get that from. So unfortunately, I go and use another photographer or another estate agent, really.
Yeah, do you know what? To be honest, we've not actually, when you think about the last 2 years, any clients who have stopped working with us, I can see a reason behind it. Maybe they had different expectations to what we were delivering. A lot of the time, maybe it's price, they start doing it themselves, but we've never really fallen out with people for anything that we've done, because like you say, we don't get our back up, we don't argue. You got a problem, no worries, we'll sort it for you.
Exactly that. But you're better off just saying, look, we've done everything we can to try and help you and assist you, and if we're still not meeting your expectations, then we fully understand it. You're going to have to go and try someone else.
Yeah, that's it.
9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, 6 months later, they're back. They've tried it.
Come back.
It's not as good. They've tried it. The grass isn't greener, and they want you. And you kind of,
it's like an ex-girlfriend.
Out of politeness or kindness, you're like, okay, look, we'll give it another go. And 2 months later, you're regretting it again. But look, it is what it is. So you played a paddle event last week. Brought an absolute bandit with you. Didn't play one of the other photographers. Brings an ex-professional, old Toby, with him that literally doesn't miss anything. And you got all the way to the final.
Yeah, I mean, Toby, he's a friend. He's a client of my wife, but he's also become a friend over the years. As soon as you said paddle, I was licking my lips, thinking, "Yep, I know who's coming with me." Man. He's he's everything in the paddle industry. He's he builds courts, he sells equipment, he coaches. You can't have a conversation with the guy without him coaching you about something to do with paddle. But it's a great event, though. I mean, first paddle event. Got to the final, should have won. Bit of dubious.
Yeah, look, and again, it's with your help really from your visual production skills of your team that we're really trying to elevate our brand in terms of being more than just a residential agent, and that's obviously led us into the realms of land and new homes where we're now more business to business led on that side of the business. And again, comes back to networking. How do you get closer to your clients? How do you do something good for charity and generate some much needed funds for some of the charities that are close to our heart? So going back to the golf day at Abridge in September, which again you was part of and you played in, and we got some great footage of that. It was like, look, what could we do for the winter and still get everyone together? And paddle is becoming an obsession for. I'm playing at 4 o'clock actually, so I've got to hurry up.
All these middle class events that you put on, it seems like you're asking after a certain market.
Exactly, yeah, it's getting in the way of work. But yeah, look, paddle's become a big obsession for us. Obviously, we're members down at David Lloyd Chigwell, so we're constantly setting our alarms at silly o'clock to get on court for 6 a.m.
If you can get one.
Yeah, trying to beat some players that are probably a lot younger than us, or certainly a lot younger than me.
Well, maybe not me.
How old are you?
31.
Yeah, I'm a bit older than you then. So the last Thursday was brilliant, and obviously the footage that you produced thereafter was unbelievable as well. And it's great for us because obviously people get to meet you on those events, and that's where the recommendation come from my friend who now wants to use you. So that's another client, and I'm sure you'll pick up other bits of business from that as well.
Or Toby.
Yeah.
Toby's potentially building 5 or 6 courts. From turning up, thinking.
Well, exactly that. Oh yeah, of course, yeah. So I made that introduction to Ed. Two guys. So we had they're developers, but they're the core of their business is construction. We're selling a site for them at the moment in Epping, but I introduced them to some other developer clients of ours that have obviously got the site in Rickmansworth that are building out in Chigwell, and those guys are now talking about kind of things and bits and pieces going on there. So, idea sharing and whatever else. So, look, it was just a brilliant day for business to come from it for loads of companies. We all had a laugh, burnt some calories.
That's always about having a laugh, really.
met some good people along the way. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, but it's a networking event, but it's not a false networking event.
Yeah.
It's there for a laugh.
Yeah.
But people just naturally, because of the people you invited, business owners, developers, agents, naturally just networking, trying to find if there's anyone who's not just to get business, but who's useful for me here. Someone like Toby, useful guy. He builds paddle courts, flavour of the month.
Yeah. So and that's part of our land offering. There's so many inquiries coming in for find me a site for paddle courts. Find me a site. I mean, you can't get a call anywhere. From
true.
Rocket Paddle to David Lloyd and everything in between. People are booking up courts 2 weeks in advance. And it's just taken over. It's just mayhem. And even my friend who's quite well connected down the Lloyd was saying, we had courts that sat there doing nothing for ages, and now all of a sudden everyone wants to play paddle and no one wants tennis courts. So it's trying to catch up with everything really. So back to mode. So obviously you've built a bit of a dynasty in a little over 2 years really. You've got some great staff, great team around you. Your territory's getting bigger. What's the plan? Where do you see yourself in 2, 4, 6 years? How do you grow further?
It's a good question because my plan, we've all got 3-year plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans, and my 10-year plan last year is different to my 10-year plan this year, even my 5-year plan. And we started in Essex, East London, pretty next door. We've now grown into Hertfordshire, Suffolk, North London, even up to West London now. So we're stroking the realms of South London, Kent, Cambridgeshire, Oxfordshire. We're slowly getting that whole southeast, each county. So look, the 3-year plan is we want to be in every county, from Suffolk down to Surrey. As such, I think it's Surrey down there. I'm not. Yeah, it's more problems. We want to be able to have coverage in all of them counties. Not really too bothered about the Midlands because I don't feel like there's a market for what we do too much there. Maybe there is, I might be wrong. But I mean, long-term plan is something that only me and Keane have really
talking
discussed.
About the Midlands. Just had a thought about that video that I sent you a couple of weeks ago with a guy in the voice.
He's not. It's Bradford.
Bradford. Oh, that's Bradford. Yeah, of course it was. Yeah. Was it Bradford or Birmingham?
Oh,
No, I think it was
both as bad as
Birmingham.
each other.
I think it was Birmingham with the Rolls Royce pulling up.
Yeah, he's got the
And
Rolls Royce
the
and
gunshots.
The tracksuit, yeah.
Come and have a look at his one-bedroom flat.
But I mean, he's getting attention.
Yeah.
Is he selling properties out of it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's attention for the right reasons and attention for the wrong reasons.
But our growth is based on. I mean, we've had this conversation before about attracting the best talent and attracting people that are motivated to work for the brand and for the company and as for themselves. Like when they're going out networking, they're promoting a strong brand and they want to say where they work.
Yeah.
So only me and Keane have really discussed this.
Yeah.
The next 3 years of our plan, we don't really have appetite to grow up north. We want to take it to be a global brand. So like what you do, like we discussed, the market is very different abroad.
Yeah.
How it operates, what we do is copy and paste.
Yeah.
What we can literally pick up and do exactly what we do in different countries, as long as they're selling property. So, I mean, ideally, in an ideal world, Keane wants to open in Dubai. I want to go to the other hemisphere and open America, Canada.
Okay.
But a 10-year plan is to have 4 or 5 operating offices across different continents of the world that provides opportunities for people in England to go over, people in other countries to come over, and it's just you become a global company rather than just thinking. But then it also helps with promotions. You know, Matt's been with me since almost day one.
Yeah.
How does Matt get out of my shadow to grow the company? I don't want to retire. I'm 31. You know, I'm going to go and play paddle every day.
Yeah.
But it's okay. How do Matt and Keane be able to take that next step without me being? It's right. I'm going to go and do that. Keane will go and open. Look, it's all a hope right now, but the vision is there, and that's what we want to deliver on.
Look, that's unbelievable, right? From little acorns, big oaks grow, right? And it's it's quite inspiring to sit there and I didn't think you was going to say that. To be honest with you. I didn't think you was going to say that you was going global and it's going to be New York, Tokyo, and Toronto.
Well,
so look, kudos to you and good luck to you, and I hope you kind of fulfil your aspirations and your dreams. But yeah, it's interesting you should say that about staff, and it's always a consideration for Michael and I. The minute you stagnate and you say, right, this is it, and there's no more, you will start losing senior people. The employer that Michael and I come from, we dearly love them and we remain friends to this day. But the pie was never big enough. It couldn't have been cut any further. The growth had kind of stopped. Their direction in business had changed. They really wanted to focus on growing their lettings book and their letting side of the business, and we was overseeing offices that were predominantly sales based offices. That was our role, and it was right. We've got to move on and do something different. We've got to look after ourselves. You've been great. The journey's been unbelievable, but we're going to go off and try something new, and that's always been our challenge within Butler and Stagg. We've got good people. We've had people that have reached the ceiling of their current position. What do you do with them next? Chris Marsh is an example of that. The highest biller in the company last year and has been up there in and around it in the last 3 or 4 years. Right, when do you open another branch? And it's branches are whether they're going to become a bit of an outdated model within a estate agency at some point in the future. Will they become the blockbuster of the high street as everything becomes a lot more digital? But also with branches, you have to stay within a salary structure and a framework. So pushing him out on under Club Butler and Stagg as a broker gives him the opportunity to leverage his salary, and it becomes even more uncapped. And he's such a great self-starter. I'm sure he'll go and earn a lot more money than what he's earning now, which is already a fantastic salary. So you try and make those niches or create those opportunities for the good people. You don't want to lose them. You've invested a lot into them.
Yeah, but I would say it's the main thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as if we start, I even think about people in the team.
Yeah.
We need to move fast because she's really important. She might have a baby, go on maternity leave. She's a massive part of the thing. He's really important. He might outgrow and want to, set up his own. And there's so many things that you want to try and hit before the inevitable happens, and the team realise I want more.
Yeah.
Because you just want to feed. You keep giving them more.
Yeah.
and it keeps them happy. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look, that's my ambition.
Yeah.
10 years, where will I be? Don't know.
Sitting on a beach somewhere.
But that's always the
Flying
thing.
your drum.
It's, we're 2 years in, and people say to me, "You must be sitting on a beach right now."
Yeah.
And I think, in the last 2 years, I've probably made less money and had the most stress than any job in my life. Yeah. It's like
you're in the trenches. Yeah, that's exactly where you are. You're growing a business. You've probably got a lot invested in the business, a lot riding on that business. We're 14 years in, coming up 15 years in. I'd like to think that I'm out of the trenches a little bit, but unfortunately, I keep getting sucked back in, and I must, much to my wife's annoyance, that feels as though I should be kicking back a little bit more and letting the team do a little bit more. I can't help but get involved and advance things and keep raising the bar and push things on. But I must love doing it, otherwise I wouldn't do it.
You have to love doing it before any monetary value comes in. You have to just love and just be obsessed with it.
About it, and that shines through as a business owner, but also to your wider network of clients and whatever. That you're an easy proposition and a company to work with because you love it so much.
Can't put it
I got asked this, and I've never really put much thought into it. About 7 or 8 years ago, and I was out with probably they are the biggest portal within our industry, and I was out with one of their senior staff. There's a guy from Rightmove, a guy called Miles. If you're listening, Miles, I still remember this. And he said, "What's your why?" And I kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit as to why he would ask that and what he was expecting me to say. So I took a couple of minutes to think about what he was referencing and why did I start all of this? What was your? I'll tell you what mine is in a minute. But what was your why? Where did it come from?
So I was in corporate. I was at Goldman Sachs for about 6 years. And I loved it.
What was you doing there?
I started off doing tech support. So roll it back a bit further. I was tech support engineer. Just went in general support, literally day-to-day support. A trader's keyboard's not working, I'd go and swap it out. I was 20 years old.
They're quite patient people, traders.
No, they would smash the keyboard around my head.
Yeah.
But it was
they work in yesterday. Now immediately.
It has to
now,
be done.
Yeah.
You're costing me £1 million for every second that you're. I'm not working. Yeah. But it was so I started there doing tech support in a contract role. So I didn't really take it seriously, and then 6 months in, kind of got to know the company, and I thought, I'm 20 years old, I'm super naive, and I thought, well, I've got an opportunity here to actually do something good. So I grafted my nuts off. I worked every weekend that I could, doing any changes that were needed, and it got to the point I was permanent there, and I was getting promotion after promotion, and I think I was maybe 24 or 25 at the time, something like that. And then I just fell out of love with it overnight. I got promoted to this role where I only dealt with the execs. So this was back in the years, like you had Lloyd Blankfein, who was like the head of Goldman Sachs, David Solomon, who actually went and worked for Trump in Trump's administration. I would look after them. So if they would come to the UK on business, I would be their point person. My phone's broken, my emails are not working. It would be me. But that role was a sit down and be patient role. And you know me, I need things. So my previous role was get everything done and managed and handled for every department across the company. But my new role was sit down and just wait until someone really important needs something from you. So I would sit there and do nothing because I had to just be available. And it made me fall out of love with the whole thing almost overnight. And I had 6 months of sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And in the end, I figured I'm not really going anywhere from here. Yeah. So I need to get out. And through that 6 months, I knew I was leaving. End of the year, December, I'm gone. And then I was going to go into property the following year. And I did. Left in December, went into HMOs. I went to do HMO, rent to rent. And I just needed to do something on my own. Didn't really like that. After a year, I'd done one deal. I'd done one deal in the first month, and then because
think, right, this is it. This is easy. I'm off and running.
because that deal almost
Yeah.
covered my salary, replaced my salary straight away. I thought,
Yeah.
right, well, I'm all right now.
I'm off and running.
But I got a bit lazy. I didn't invest any more time in it. I wasn't really that into it. Didn't make any money that year. So I've gone from earning a corporate salary with huge bonuses to zero, flatline the whole
it's
year.
quite scary.
Well, this is it, right? And you start thinking about crazy things when you're like, well, I'm 25. What's going on? And then later that year is when I met Amelia, who's now my wife. And I'd made no money that year. So meeting someone who...
So she didn't marry you for your money then?
She didn't even realise. Well, she did, right? She used to do my accounts at Goldman's.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I was a contractor. So
Right.
she was thinking I'm still a high flyer. I hadn't earned any money. 6 weeks we've been together, and I get asked, can you come to Saudi Arabia for 6 weeks to teach people how to fly drones? Because previously I used to fly drones for a bit of a laugh. 15 grand. I've had no money all year. I have to.
Let me think about that.
I have to do. Like, there's no thinking about it. It's, how am I going to tell her?
Yeah.
Anyway, I've gone to Saudi. Whatever. Come back. I was going to go back to the city because I figured I've had a whole year. I can't make this work. And this is the problem that a lot of new starters, entrepreneurs, just have. Yeah. They'll give it a year and they'll fall back to where they was.
Oh, well, I've read that umpteen times. The amount of failed businesses or business ventures that fail within the first 12 or 18 months. And it's really, if you can stay in it beyond that 18 months, it's when it... I mean, we've always said a new business takes 3 years. I mean, you've really bucked the trend by doing what you've done with Mo to do it in such a short period. Because on our own pathway, each office, each department, each, kind of offshoot of Butler and Stagg has generally taken 3 years for it to become successful and profitable. You have to be patient.
Well, the 2 years is a good one because actually I was doing it for 2.5 years on my own before. So if you think about it, I'm now 5 years in.
Yeah.
Whereas, because it was COVID, so December happened, I went to Saturday, come back, was going to the city, had a job lined up, ready to go. I think it was at Sky or something, project management role. COVID, pulled the plug, everything shut down.
Yeah.
It kind of bought me a bit more time because I was thinking, I'm so glad I'm not going and doing that job. But then people started asking me, can you fly your drone in the houses?
Yeah.
Because we can't get people to view them, so we need... No, but I'll buy a camera.
Yeah.
And that's when, I think it was Drone Tour. It was Drone Tour. I had set up this Drone Tour company, and that's when that was born, and I thought, I'll do this. 2.5 years, I was bang average at what I was doing.
Yeah.
Didn't really try to get better, never tried to...
Well, I think when I first met you, you was out working for, a mutual client and friend of ours, Sam, if he's buying something, Torrent, go and film that for me, drone shoot it, fly that around. But it was scruffy old commercial buildings that had real no kind of aesthetic factors that you was trying to bring out. So to go from doing that to transition into making people's, kind of homes and their pride and joy looking at their best was quite a big transition. But you seem to do it fairly effortlessly and then, train the rest of the team to do the same.
It's watching.
Yeah.
So, I mean... George came in and he just watched me. He's like, what is he doing? Because he's obviously doing it right and I'm going to do it like him and I'm going to do it better. Yeah. Keen and Matt, they came in and they done the same. Yeah. They was like, right, what is he? So if you look at me, George, Keen and Matt, there's no difference, But not even just the quality of the work, it's how we approach the jobs. Yeah. Because when things are newer, I spent a lot of one-to-one time with them, going to jobs, dealing with vendors, dealing with agents and clients, and so they see a lot of that. Whereas, as the team grows, the extended team see less of me directly. It's just how it works. I mean, I try to always spend as much time with everyone. I'll go and see them. I'll go and work a day with them on their jobs if they want my time because I still can, and I'll do that as much as I can for as long as I can. Yeah. But obviously the company reaches certain heights.
It's going to scale, and it's going to get to a point where you're just not going to have the time. It's standard, and like I say to some of our clients, it's you don't really want me now because I can't give you the I don't care. I just can't. I'm so distracted in other areas of the business. We're at a team that's pushing close to 40. Yeah. We've got various managers that look after various departments. They feed into me. I'm too distracted. I can't give it the time that someone would give it if that's all they was focusing on and that was their job. And it goes back to understanding what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, where do you excel, what you're good at. And that's not a cop-out from my perspective. That's not me being lazy that wants to go and play golf and paddle. That's just realistic. And I need to manage your expectations early, because if I don't, you're going to feel let down or neglected. And that's not what we're about, and that's not what you're about as a company. So I think as long as people understand that, then you're on the right
A lot
road.
of people don't know. So you get a lot of clients that just want your time.
Yeah.
And it's hard, especially for me, and as it's grown, it's hard to sort of transition that and bring them in without saying, don't call me. It's, you know, call the office number, because sometimes I might not answer. You know, it's like a... But then, look, I'd always, 95% of our clients, if they rang me and say, I just want a coffee, if I can, I'm there. You know, and I think that's why we've grown, because we will always... I take bookings at 8:30. People ringing me. I'm in bed at 8:30. And, you know, people ringing me, bookings, I'm going to answer it. It's, you know, because it's that level of... But then it comes back to having an in-house team. Can you ring your videographer at 8:30? No, because he knows he's getting paid anyway. You know, for me, I'm like, this business could go at any point, so we've got to be on it all the time.
Finger on a pulse.
Yeah, some people you don't have more than one chance with.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's because they might have someone else knocking on their door going, give me a chance.
And you're facilitating someone else's promise. You know, that agent, or be it ourselves or someone else, has pledged something to that particular client, and they want to deliver on their pledges. And obviously you're a big cog in that wheel, and you've got to do the same. But look, it's been brilliant having you in. Keep doing what you're doing. Loving watching your journey. Definitely come back for the 100th podcast. Let's see how many countries you're operating in then. And thanks again for coming in, Tony. You enjoyed it?
Yeah, that's good.
Open up the champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it